Hey you guys, it's Peter, and welcome to my channel, Peterisms, where I tell stories of my life and just little things that I've learned as I have grown into the person that I am today. And it's early today for me to be filming videos. It is currently 1 p.m. and I'm getting ready to go do a bunch of stuff for today. I just vlogged earlier because I slept all through the night last night. So I thought I would start today's filming with meditations, because I thought that would be a good way for me to start my day. So, let's get into the meditations for today. I'm going to start with A Year of Positive Thinking by Cindy Spiegel. Daily Inspiration, Wisdom, and Courage, because I did not read from that yesterday. So, let's get into that one first. Today is August 13th. Let's see what the meditation has to say to us today. August 13th. Release what you no longer need. Surrender the parts of your past that no longer serve you. People, possessions, thoughts. Be willing to release them if you don't need them anymore. Doing so creates the space you need to allow in true love, to create honest connection, and to live an extraordinarily fulfilled life. And I think it's a really interesting meditation. I am somebody that holds on to the past a lot. And I think that one of the reasons for that is that I seem to lose a lot from my past over just a couple of years. I lost my mom, I lost my aunt, I lost my uncle, I lost some very, very dear close friends of mine. I went through major changes in my life, left a career, left a major relationship, left an apartment I had lived in for a long time, just all in like the span of like 1 to 4 years. Well, most of that happened in 1 year, and then the rest of it, happened over the period of like the next 4 years. And I think that at that time, I was kind of like clinging to anything that connected me or held on to my past, because I was so afraid of like losing my past. I used to say in my vlogs a lot, I would say, like who knows me now, like from my past, like who knows my story, who knows my history. And other than my dad and my stepmom, and my cousin Caroline, who, like, she and I, even though we're so close today, there were great periods of our life where we weren't that close. We just happened to be cousins, And so it's like she doesn't remember a lot of the stories. And even my dad doesn't know a lot of the stories, because a lot of the stories that I have from my youth, I shared with my mom, or I shared with my aunt and uncle on my mom's side. And now that they're all gone, it's like, well, who knows those stories? Who knows that history anymore? And, my vlog was super helpful for this. It was kind of almost like, I think, like a verbal diary. Not diarrhea, although I'm sure some people thought that. No, it was like a verbal diary a little bit for me, to drive around and tell stories from my past. And if you go back and you watch my first year of my vlog, I cried I'm a crier anyway, but I cried all the time in telling these stories. And, just really, I think that first year of my vlog helped me just grieve my mother so much. And, my aunt and uncle were still alive when the first year that I was vlogging. So I guess it wasn't actually, the first 4 years, but it was like after that. But anyway, I think that my vlogging and my venting my emotions and my feelings and getting them out there and talking about them has really, really helped me, I think today, I try so hard to not hold on to the things in the past, because I want to enjoy today and I want to make new memories, There was a long period of time where my best friend and I, we would sit on her back patio. There was about 6 or 7 of us, all in recovery together. We would go to meetings together. We would eat together. We traveled together. We had so much fun together, And then it was like one by one that group kind of split up. Somebody moved far away. Another person moved far away. There was a couple that was involved in there and they broke up, and one person stopped coming around. Somebody else went to meetings in another part of town because it wasn't convenient for them anymore. A couple of those people went back out and started using again. And all of a sudden, Tanya and I realized that it was just she and I on the front porch night after night, or the back porch night after night, And we would sit out there and we would say, do you remember this? Or do you remember when so-and-so said this? And we would tell these stories, which we still do, from time to time. But she looked at me one day and she said, I'm really tired of living in the past. She's like, they're not worried about us anymore. She was like, I want to make new memories. And so we started talking about that. We started talking about new ways to make new memories. And that doesn't mean that you forget the past. That doesn't mean that you close the door on it. It means that you remember the past with fondness. And I've tried to do that with each relationship that's ended as well. You know, that I've tried to like remember the good times. One of the things that for me is always so sad is like when friends of mine come to me and they'll say, like when they go through a breakup, they'll say, well, none of it meant anything. Like they didn't really ever care about me. You know, they didn't really love me. We didn't have any, the good times were never real. And I'm like, you can't think that way. Like those good moments, those good times that you had in that relationship, no matter how the relationship ended, you know, those were great moments. It's like for me, when people refer to their marriages ending or their divorces or the relationships ending as failures, like I don't really love that either, because it's not a failure. You know, there were many times during that relationship that it was successful. You know, and I think that, no, not to look at the world with through rose-colored glasses and say, oh, it was fantastic, I don't know what happened. To say, you know what, we just realized we didn't want to be together anymore. Or the problems were bigger than we were, you know, or we didn't do the work to stay together. Or whatever the truth may be. But in realizing that that relationship ended, but then also looking back and not just saying, well, that person's a horrible person, or that person didn't care about me, or blah, 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 I can't believe I was ever with them, and all that kind of stuff. Now, there are some situations that I think that are like that are, like I say always on here, that are very, very serious, those are conversations to be had in, you know, therapy or counseling sessions or coaching sessions or whatever. But by and large, most of those relationships, I think we look back on and we're just like, with such spite. I've tried to look back on those relationships and been like, you know what, at that time, they were wonderful people when I met them, and I'm blessed that they were in my life. I'm blessed that I was allowed to share part of their life with them, you know, and I still to this day have amazing memories with all of the people that I dated, ex-friends of mine, you know, all kinds of situations I look back on, and I try to look back with those situations with fondness. But I don't want to live in yesterday, you know. I did that for too long, and I think that's a huge part of grieving. I really, really do. And I actually think that for many of us, this is true to me, that stopping talking about the past almost seems like a betrayal to the person that has passed away. It's like, well, if I don't tell the stories and I don't continue to talk about them, then their story doesn't stay alive, and then who will talk about them, and then all of a sudden they'll be forgotten. No, we never forget them. We don't ever forget them, you know? So I think it's about paying homage to the past and to the memories of the past, while at the same time staying present enough to enjoy today. You know, it's like, I realize today, I'm here but for a minute. Like, I want to enjoy this life to the best of my abilities, and I don't want to just sit in today and stay stuck in yesterday. I did that for a very long time, you know? I don't want to do that anymore. All right, I want to read the one from yesterday because it looks good and it's a little bit longer, and it says, from August 12th, feel however you feel. Feel what you feel. Do not attempt to be happy in every moment of sadness. Do not attempt to be happy in every moment of sadness. Happiness is a powerful emotion, but it needs space in order to thrive. Sadness also needs space to be felt before it can move along and make way for other emotions. Allow yourself to feel all emotions with compassion. Know that these feelings too shall pass. And when you are ready, trust that you will gracefully move forward. I love that meditation. You know, I think it's been something in life that I really had to learn over time. You know, I've shared this on here before, and I'm sure it's hard for people to believe, but when I was much younger, like growing up, like I wasn't like a real emotional kid. I didn't cry a lot. I don't really remember showing like overzealous joy over things. In retrospect, looking back at myself, like in my mind's eye, now I do remember like moments where I would like put on shows and things like that I was like over the top, right? But as far as emotions, I remember being a rather like kind of like flat kid. Like I don't really, and I think part of it was in going to school and being so bullied regularly that I always kind of put on a face, you know, that I didn't want to, I don't know, let them in, let them know that they had gotten in my head or something. And I think that carried over into much of my family life, my personal life outside of school. And I think that's why I wasn't a super emotional person. I think that like I believed that if you show somebody emotion, they've won kind of thing. And I believed that for a long time. I don't believe that today. You know, I believe that I have to feel and show my emotions for me, you know, in that moment. And I remember saying this to a friend years ago. I can remember where we were walking, and I said it to her, and we were talking about something that had happened in her life, and I said, you know, it's the bitter and the sweet. And whenever I say this, people always go, the better? No, the bitter, like sour. It's the bitter and the sweet, like a bittersweet life. Because if we didn't have the bitter, we wouldn't know the sweet. It's very much the yin and the yang. If we didn't have the good and the bad, we have to have both. Not to, I think, outbalance each other, but to help each other understand that. Like if we didn't have moments of sadness, we really wouldn't know what happiness is, you know? And I'm not saying that I welcome those moments of sadness or want to feel them on a regular basis. I'd love to be happy all the time, right? But had I never had moments of sadness, I wouldn't know what happiness was, nor do I believe that any of us would. How could we? You know, we couldn't. So I think it's a great meditation. I think it's important for us in life to feel our emotions and to allow ourselves to feel our emotions and not be afraid of that. You know, and I think to also be taught that from a young age. Like, even though I remember myself being very, very flat, I do remember my parents talking to me a lot about like, well, how do you feel about something? Or like, you know, really encouraging that and showing me the vast range of emotions and realizing that adults are allowed to have those emotions too. And that was something that I was taught from a young age. Even though I didn't feel comfortable doing that, I remember being taught that, you know, and I think that that's important. And I think in allowing our friends to feel comfortable to show their emotions around us, whatever they are, whether it's joy or sadness, you know, or anger sometimes, you know, and our family members and all that kind of stuff, because we want to have real authentic relationships. And to have real authentic relationships, we have to have people feel comfortable enough to share their emotions around us. And the way that we show that to them, that that's okay and that we're safe places for that, is to role model that behavior and to show them our emotions and to not hold back. And I can tell you, the more that you share your emotions with the people in your life, I'm not talking about everybody, okay? I'm not saying go to work and bawl your eyes out, although if you have to, from time to time, it's okay. You know, but like I think it's appropriate then to like go to your supervisor and say, hey, can I take a half an hour? Like I'm really having a rough day. That's sharing your emotions, right? That's taking care of yourself. That's healthy. And I can remember like when, you know, going through a breakup when I was working, and I was like, every day I would come into work and I just was like devastated. You know, it's just like I felt like my life had ended. And I remember my supervisor called me into her office and she said to me, she goes, do you need some time off? And I said, I don't know why. And she was like, I mean, you just don't seem yourself since this breakup. And we had a very honest relationship, you know, and she was an awesome supervisor. And she said, you know, you just don't seem yourself. Like, I want to give you a couple days off, or do you need a week off or whatever? And I said, yeah, I actually think that I do, you know? And she looked at me and she said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm going to give you a week, and I want you just to go home and take care of yourself and enjoy yourself and do whatever you need to do. She was like, because I need you here. Like, and when you come back, like, I need you to be on board because I need you here, you know? And I came back, and that was like just a couple, that was my first relationship when it ended. So I would say I had been there, well, just 5 years, some 4 or 5 years at that point or something like that, you know, and I just look back on that situation and I think that's so awesome that I had, you know, a supervisor that allowed me to heal and get better like that, you know, and then I think at that point then going forward, I always realized that that was like a safe place for me. Like I could go into her office, and no, I didn't take off any more weeks. Like there was never another situation that happened like that, you know, but I did feel comfortable to go into her office and just be like, you know what, like I'm having a rough day today, you know, can you help me? And one of the things that's funny is, this was like years later, I remember sitting in her office, and she was like, she just kind of nodded. I was like talking, it was like 15 minutes or whatever, and I said at the end, I said, you're such a great listener. And she goes, no, she goes, I'm a great team leader, and being a great team leader means you have to know what each of your people need on the team. And she goes, what I know for you, at the end I said, oh, I feel so much better now. I said, you're such a great listener. And she said, I know that you just need to come in here and you just need to let it all out. And once you let it all out, you're fine. And you know what is so funny about that is, she taught me in that moment what I needed, because I can then going forward, that's how I've been with each of my sponsors. I'll just call up my sponsor and say like, hey, can you just listen to me for 10 minutes? Like I just need to let this out. And like 90% of the time, once I let it out, I'm so much better, you know? I really, really am. And I think that's about finding safe people and safe places to allow our feelings and our emotions to come out, and I think it's important to do that. All right, let's read one more meditation. Let me see from the language of letting go what it's talking about today, August 13th. Oh, that's a good one. Let's see what the other ones. Well, let's just read that one. It's about friends. Got to have friends. I'm not singing that song very correctly, am I? Okay, August 13th, friends. Don't overlook the value of friendship. Don't neglect friends. Friends are a joy. Adult friendships can be a good place for us to learn, to have fun, and to appreciate how much fun we can have with a friend. Friends can be a comfort. Who knows us better or is more able to give us support than a good friend? A friendship is a comfortable place to be ourselves. Often, our choice of friends will reflect the issues we're working on. Giving and receiving support will help both people grow. Some friendships wax and wane, going through cycles throughout the years. Some trail off when one person outgrows the other. Certainly, we will have trials and tests in friendships and, at times, be called on to practice our recovery behaviors. But some friendships will last a lifetime. There are special love relationships and there are friendships. Sometimes our friendships, especially recovery friendships, can be special love relationships too. Today I will reach out to a friend. I will let myself enjoy the comfort, joys, and enduring quality of my friendships. I love that meditation. And I think for a long time, I really did take my friendships for granted. I think especially my friendship with Tanya, my best friend, And really, I think, even maybe until I got onto YouTube and, talked about her openly and whatever, and so many people would say, God, I wish I had a friendship like you, or I wish I even had a friend. And the comments that I would get from people that say, I go to work and I'm by myself, I come home, I'm by myself, and I don't have any friends. And it made me really start looking at that in a different way. I get lonely from time to time. I don't have 30 friends. I just don't, I have just 2 or 3, 4 close friends. I would say maybe 5, 6 closer friends. I said in a video the other day, I said 10 acquaintances. I would say 5 or 6 closer friends on that outside circle, and then maybe 10 acquaintances around that. I mean, if I want to do something, I always have somebody to pick up the phone and call and do, And I've had to do that. I've had to do that work. But I think it is about, I think if you want a good friend, you have to be a good friend. I remember years and years and years ago dating this guy. It was right after I had gotten sober, and I said something to my dad about what I wanted in this relationship. And he said, you have to be what you want. You have to be what you want to get in a relationship. And he was like, so if you want this, you have to be this. And I believe in that, I don't believe if you want to date a doctor, you have to be a doctor. I will say that's pretty superficial if you say that, but I don't believe that. But I think that sentiment is, I want to date somebody professional. Therefore, you should probably be career driven as well and have your own independent career and things. It's not to say about a doctor. Does that make sense? So in friendships, if things that you, I don't know, things that mean something to you are that you want a friend that laughs a lot, or you want a friend that, I don't know, cheers you up, or you want a friend that reaches out for you, or a friend that's loyal, or whatever, then you need to be that friend, Have you ever had that friend that always wants to tell you what you don't do as a friend, and then you're sitting there and you're like, this is interesting because basically there's a huge mirror right now, because you are none of those things as a friend. Have you ever had that person in your life? I don't anymore. I've gotten rid of those people. I have. I've removed the toxic people from my life today. I can't, It's a lot for me. And, there's people in my life, and I'm sure people at times have had to remove me because I've been toxic from their life. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. I understand that. I think to have those conversations with people so that they're aware of maybe what they need to grow and change and work on and stuff like that. But once you've had that conversation with people a couple of times, and it's I think that they thrive off of misery sometimes. I don't know. I just shaved my beard, and all of a sudden I can smell it all over my hands and my beard and everything. The shaving cream, I use this Art of Shaving sandalwood cream. I can smell it. But it makes me sad. I look back and there are some people out there that I love dearly, I would love to talk to them every day, but they're just so overwhelming, it's just a lot. And, and I've had those conversations with them, every single time I talk to you, it's always 99% about you. That's not a friendship. That's not a conversation, and that to me is generally where the toxicity lies. It's have you ever had the person that calls you up and says, hey, how are you? And then before you could even get the word out. They're like, let me tell you about my day, and blah, 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 whatever. And then you sitting there, oh, wow, really? And then 45 minutes on the phone, and then it's like, oh, John's here, gotta go, gotta get off the phone, gotta make dinner for the kids. And then every time you talk to them that way, that's what happens. It's not a healthy relationship, okay? If you have a friend that every time they call you, it's because they need or want something from you, that's not a healthy relationship. If you have a friend that guilt trips you, well, you don't do this for me and you don't do that for me and I've always been there for you and that's not a healthy relationship, okay? It's healthy to sit and have conversations with people and say, these are the things I wish we had in this relationship that we don't have. But to always be like this at somebody, that's not a healthy relationship, okay? Relationships and friendships should be mutual. They should be give and take, you know? And I feel blessed that I have 2 or 3 people in my relationship that, in my relationship, 2 or 3 people in my life that are like that. Like, you know, one of the things that's really important for me today is that, like, I'm real busy. There are whole days that go by, 2 days, that I don't talk to anybody. Literally, if I showed you my phone, you'd see it says, like, Alex, and then, like, maybe, like, one phone call to my sponsor, you know, or whatever, or Tanya. I usually talk to Tanya every day. But she's really the only one besides my husband. And, you know, I have to have friends today. I was going to say need. I do. I need friends in my life today that understand that schedule and that understand that, and that they have busy lives and they have things that they're doing too. So that when I talk to them on the phone, it's not just like, well, we used to get together 4 days a week and we never do anymore and you never want to do anything with me anymore. But I mean, I can't deal with that guilt tripping. I just can't, you know? And so the people that I have in my life today, some people I don't even talk to for like 6 weeks in a row. And then when we pick up the phone, it's like we just right where we left off, you know? And I need that today. I need that, you know? And then also, like, if I have relationships where it's like I don't see that person more, you know, just say like, hey, I kind of miss you. Can we get together more often, you know? And whatever, if they're willing to do that and they have the time, then we do. But if they don't have the time, then I understand that, you know? So I don't know. It's like, I think that when you value friendships, you treat those people the way that you would want to be treated in a friendship. And I think that that's really, really important, you know? And I think that that's one way that we respect those relationships. But, you know, I try not to take those friendships for granted today because they mean a lot to me. They mean a lot, you know? And, you know, like one of the biggest things for me, we were just talking about this in our literature group the other night, the Toni Morrison saying, you know, that when a child walks in a room, he or she looks to see, do your eyes light up? Are you happy to see them? You know, and still to this day, when I walk into a room, I look at my friends and it's like, do their eyes light up? You know, because when my friends walk in a room, my eyes light up. I'm excited to see them. And, you know, I want them to feel the same way about me. I want to have those reciprocal relationships, you know, where we lift each other up and we're honest with each other and we challenge each other and we love one another and we comfort each other. And I think that's, you know, what true friendship is really all about, Charlie Brown. So anyway, let me know what you think about those meditations in the comment section below. I love you guys and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.